Hello everyone, my name is Kadhir, and I'm one of the four teachers at Everyone Engineers. Today I will be going over the basic fundamental knowledge to get started in Python. Python is a very powerful object-oriented programming language that can be used to make pretty much any type of application. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is one of the most important concepts in not only Python but pretty much any other programming language, and that is variables and data types. So, a variable can be defined as an allocation of memory in a computer. So, when you define a variable in your program, Python makes your computer set aside a certain amount of space for a variable and it can store any type of value in that variable. So, let's talk about a few basic data types. So, first, first of all, you have string, which is basically text. And a string variable can contain anything like hello. So I'm going to type in string variable can contain hello. That is a string because it's a text. Next, we have integers. And integers, I'm going to call them int for short, and they can contain number values, numerical values. So I can type in 45, and that can be counted as an integer value. And our third type of data type is going to be float, which is going to contain decimal points, a floating point. So 45.67676. That's a floating that's a float value. And our final data type we're going to be discussing in this lesson is going to be Boolean. So Boolean variables are going to contain either a true or false value. So I can type in true here, and that can be a Boolean variable. So to define a variable, first, you're going to want to type in the name you want to give the variable. So I'm going to call my first variable text. And so now that I have the name of my variable, I can type in the assignment operator, which is the equal to symbol, and I can type in the value I want. So I can't just type in hello here, and that's going to give a syntax error. What we need to type in is hello, but it needs to be in quotes. So this can be defined as a variable, a string variable, basically. And notice that you can also use single quotes, and that's also going to work, but single quotes are used in very few programming languages. So to make sure people from other programming languages can also understand this, I'm going to be sticking with double quotes. So now that we have our first variable, which is a string variable, let's make another one for integers. So I can't. So let's say I want my variable name to be a number. That's not possible because the the name of the variable needs to be a string value. You can't type in 2345 and make that a different variable. And because I'm on an IDE, notice that it changes color when I type in a number. So this shows us that Python can tell the difference between text and numbers. So I'm just going to call this integer. And I can make this equal to 45, and that's going to be our second variable. And notice that I'm not using any quotes in this part because we need to make sure that Python knows that this is a number and not not text. If I add quotes to this program, it's going to think that this is also a piece of text because it's in quotes. So another thing about the names of the variables is you can't have any special characters like at. It's going to give us an error like you can see. Or you can't have like the dollar sign or pretty much anything else. You can't have numbers as well. So it has to be text, and you can use underscores though to separate words. But a better way, say if I want two different words in our variable, so say I want my variable to be 45 in text, I can make it 40 and make the next letter uppercase and type in 5 because I can't have spaces in the name variable. So if you want to define a float variable or a decimal variable, basically, we can do that too. And there are these things called keywords in Python, which stand for specific things that the Python programming language needs. And if I want to make my variable name float, I can't do that. So as you can see, it changes color here, and that tells us that it's a keyword. And so keywords cannot be the names of variables. So to fix that, I'm going to type in decimal. And because that's not a keyword, as you can see, it, it's a valid variable name. And I can make this 45.6767. 6 in there, another 6. Okay, and our final variable is going to be Boolean. And I'm just going to call this Boolean because that's not a keyword. And I can call this true. And notice that I'm not using any quotes here, but I'm still using text. Python is smart enough to understand that this is a Boolean variable because we have an uppercase T and the letters R, U, and E following it. So that no, this text signifies that it's a true value, which is basically a Boolean value, which is a data type. And I can also make this false, and it'll work just fine. However, if I make the f uppercase, oh, I mean lowercase, it's not going to work because Python does not recognize that as a keyword. So let's change this back. So those are basically variables, and we have just created our first four variables. And to see the value of them, we can print them out. So so the print statement in Python works just like any other program. You plug in something and it prints it out onto the console. So I'm just going to say print in two parentheses, which is going to be the print statement in Python. And to print out the variables, I can just type in text in here. And when I run this program, it's going to type in hello on the console. Um, so we can type in 45 in here. And that's going to, when I run this program, it's going to give us 45. And when I run it, as you can see, we get 45, the expected result. And let's try decimal as well. And when we run this, we get 45.67676. So, so those are basically variables in Python, and it can a variable can use any data type basically. So that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you guys liked this lesson. Make sure you subscribe and leave a like. And the next lesson, we're going to be talking about adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing variables and numbers as well. Thanks for watching.